Oh my glurb.
Unexpected.
Oh, awesome.
You didn't know.
I did not know this. This is a shocker to me. They had a great series, guys.
Damn right.
You put all the games on YouTube, right, TotalBiscuit? I know I say that almost every time, but
yep,
yeah,
youtube.com/TotalBiscuit. You can watch anything that has happened in ShoutCraft Kings. Go all the way back to the start. They're all spoiler-free.
Yeah, definitely check out this one. There's been in our last few editions, you could actually probably watch the whole session, even if you already have, or if you haven't, definitely do it. But they were chock full of good games, to be honest with you. A lot of really good games. Solar is the father hen of the Korean players whenever they travel anywhere. This is the translator. This is the guy that gets them into their hotel rooms. He probably tucks them in at night and cleans their keyboards. And then, oh yeah, he competes in the tournaments and is one of the best as well.
That he is. He is so very, very good. Great guy, awesome guy. I spent hours talking about the state of StarCraft with him at BlizzCon last year. We just sat down and we talked through everything. He had some really great insights. He loves the game, extremely passionate about it. Also sort of, concerned about the Korean scene, as any Korean would be. They want fans to come and cheer for them. They want this to be the sport that everybody watches. And it was always cool to hear him say that, but not in a way where he's like defeatist. He's very optimistic about it.
Yeah.
A lot of Koreans are shy to even talk about the scene in any way. It was really cool to hear what he had to say. But he's also a great player. We get some amazing games out of him. And he is going to face up against our reigning king of the hill. In the red trunks to the southwest position here on Proxima Station. Playing Terran, it's TY versus his opponent. They had a great best of one of the best we've ever seen the last time they faced. The only other time TY was in the tournament. This is the rematch. He lost it last time. Can he equalize? Can he make this rivalry a thing? To the northeast position in the blue trunks, playing Zerg. His teammate, Splice's very own Solar.
And working on a 2-game win streak, both in pretty dominant form, to be honest with you. In the Alive game, I felt myself hyping up Alive quite a bit because it was kind of cool how tenacious he was. And he was working on a 7-game win streak, which is extremely impressive. But UI, looked at through a different angle, was dominant and just kind of he didn't maul him as bad as he mauled Showtime, but not too far off. It's worth saying. And then against Showtime, like I just said, just absolutely mauls him. So now, facing Solar in this ZVT meta in this world, it's a little bit different. We're used to Zergs doing very well in the European scene, maybe for WCS Young Chapin team, but in Korea, it's still a Terran playhouse. I'm okay spoiling this. You know what? Okay, I'm about to say who won the GSL. So if you're like, oh my god!
Look, we were going to have to say it sometime rather than later because Sue is in this tournament. We can't really avoid talking about it, so... Sorry, it's about to happen.
It's Gumio. You've had enough warning, but the point is, there's Terrans like rotating around and just figuring out who's the best, and Terran is very strong in Korea, and TY is on that short list, so I'm very curious to see how this pans out.
Yep. And they're teammates, which means they're practice partners. They play against each other. They know each other back to front. We see, very early third hatch, the big expansion. Of course, this is Proxima Station. You have that pocket expansion at the back, which means that's an expansion that's very safe to take early. It's hard to do anything to it. It's right at the back behind your defensive line. So you often see a nice big economic boom at the start of games on this map.
Yeah, I mean, the best evidence for me on how true what you just said is Alive played a fairly passive game on this map, especially by Alive standards. It was only by the time he was at like 2-2 upgrades that we started to see those multi-pronged attacks and drops. Now, whether or not we're guaranteed to see that here, I don't know. Solar is not your Losira. He's not going to be like, I'm going aggressive. He can, but he's very happy to manage a Hive-Tech type army and get the game to that point. And what's so exciting about that, and probably why their previous game made such a good game, is TY is one of the few Terrans who's extremely comfortable letting the game get to that stage.
Nice decision there by TY. I think, well, he's got a Viking, so of course he's going to turn around and kill it over. No, he didn't need to. He knew he had the firepower to kill it. He didn't waste it. He wanted that Viking to go somewhere else, because Solar knows that the Viking is out, having lost the first Overlord to it. So if he has any other Overlords on the map, he's immediately trying to pull them back to more defensive positions. Spore Crawlers on the way. And now we see a Hellion drop here from TY.
Yeah. And it's a shocker, too. He saw a tech lab on the factory, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not your typical Hellion stance. But
no,
the Hellions
it is not.
Show up, and Solar is all over this. You don't want to drop here. The Viking's going to get as much damage as he can without dying.
Oh!
Nope. Does
nice
die.
pick off. Yeah, I think TY slightly underestimating the number of queens that Solar has. Solar is actually a very queen-heavy player, which is why it's surprising to see that underestimation there by TY. TY going double engineering bay. Almost started the Raven upgrade there for a second, then cancelled it, but you will add the Raven into the mix. Not unusual to see double engineering bay on this map because you can get that gas really early and it's secure and it's hard to harass. So you can tech up and you can tech up quickly, and he's going to need to. Solar's already up to Lair, and he's got a Spire on the way. Does TY know about that? Has he seen it? He has not. It's in an unusual position. Actually, it's down there. Great position to put it in, considering he knows the TY is going around, but it looks like it is going to get spotted. The Hellion drop will spot it.
Yeah. Hellions do find purchase here, and they're going to get some pretty decent kills, but the medevac will go down as well, and
that's
the
pricey.
Hellions rounded and killed there. At the end of the day, 5 drones in total killed, and I think he did spot the Spire, so that's kind of actually
I think that's the most important part,
there.
isn't it? Yeah.
The build from Solar is something out of HOTS, by the way. We haven't seen this kind of... I mean, we do see this stuff, obviously, but the old Spire followed by double Evo chamber is...
Ling, Baneling, Muta.
That's a very different era. Yeah, and there's the Baneling Nest. The only slight concern here is his 4th is quite late. When a Terran has 3 bases unperturbed like that, you really don't want to be on 3 bases.
No, you don't.
In kind.
No. It's a good old rule of thumb for Zerg, has been since the dawn of time for StarCraft 2. You always want to be 1 base ahead of your opponent at all times. You never really want to be on equal bases. And why is that, Jeff? I'm sure a lot of people hear it, but maybe they don't necessarily understand why within the context of the Zerg as a race.
Well, StarCraft's an asymmetrical game where the Zerg have, for the most part, the swarmy, very killable stuff. They're just going to have more of it, and they'll get it faster than you. So if you're on equal bases and you have an equal economy, it's a lot harder to trade out or to be that swarmy style. But with the greater income and your ability to produce more, because you have to keep in mind hatcheries are also their production points.
Oh!
And that influences their ability to respond to it. And I did not see those Widow Mines at all.
No, and
Who the hell puts them there?
That's a great choice. And for those who don't know, forward Widow Mines, they actually do leave a slight imprint on the ground. They are spottable. But what he did was he put them in the shadow of another building, making them almost impossible to see. And as you said, who puts them there? Well, Solar didn't expect to see them, and the mutas, the threat of the mutas, which in the control of Solar could have been lethal, were very much blunted, and TY is now getting aggressive. He realizes, I may have an opportunity here, and this is before Baneling speed. This is really before Solar has the opportunity to get this big force up, the classic hot style that you mentioned.
Yeah. Well, it's before medevacs for the most part, too. Like, one medevac, 2 medevacs coming over here.
Risky.
And if you look at the minimap, it's just a parade push of bio coming out. And the nice thing about this from TY is it doesn't even necessarily need to drive right up there for a killing blow, but fighting back this creep tumors, winning this positioning, and freeing up space for the Terran player is in a lot of ways victory enough. Think of it as like trench warfare.
Yeah, with Ling, Baneling, Muta in particular, the creep is a huge factor in that, making it successful.
Baneling speed only just now started.
Yeah.
And TY he's so confident is I guess the way I want to describe this. Now, that being said, Solar's going to return to that production spot fearlessly.
No mines this time.
The muta count's growing. This is also a bit different. A lot of Zergs will get like 5 or 6 mutas and just try to harass with it. Ooh, a bit of an interception attempt going to happen here. Solar is paying attention and is able to duck out of the way.
Yeah, that could have been lethal. Okay. He's sandwiched, but yeah, he needs to control those, magic box them, just cram them in, stack them up, get them out of the way. In the meantime, drop on the way has been spotted by Solar. Needs to intercept this immediately. Lots of Lings ready to do just that. But yeah, losing, again, more Mutalisks. That's an expensive investment.
And he's making more TotalBiscuit too. A lot of times when you lose mutas, or like I said, you're just kind of focusing on a certain number. I think of like another.
Oh, Muse on top of the drop, and down it goes. That was an expensive loss there for TY as well.
Yeah, not bad. Supply advantage in pretty heavy favor of the Zerg player. That's actually a little bit uncommon at this stage, but there's a reason why this style from TY has fallen by the wayside a little bit, and that's because it's really hard to manage, especially on a large map like this. But he's doing a great job. Fights the creep tumors up here. Baneling speed has finished, so who cares about it being late?
Yeah,
Solar has to be happy with his position. He's on 4 bases going for a 5th, and every drop's getting spotted.
Yes, absolutely is. Another one does come down in the main, but ultimately there's a lot of lings. Response is easy, and you're not going to escape. We're not with the Mutalisks there now playing defensively. But it's interesting to see that, yes, while TY drops in one place and then goes the other side of the map and says, no creep for you, no creep for you, and let's establish some Widow Mines. So if you do try and run across here, you're going to take some damage. Let's keep denying that mobility.
And expanding. He's on the gold base. He's on 4 bases again, which for right now is equal footing with Solar. In fact, even advantageous for our Terran player, as he has the gold base versus just a normal one on the other side.
Absolutely.
And Solar wants these mutas to be... I mean, they're doing a good job of cleaning up drops, but still he's fighting to just try and get his creep back out there.
Yeah. My concern at the moment is, and I mean, that was an okay cleanup, but he spent a lot of Banelings to do it. Nice splitting here by TY. Again, the Banelings come in, avoiding the Widow Mines for the most part, which is crucial, but Solar does have to be a little bit careful.
Look at top left. That's a huge commitment to a counterattack that never
Absolutely
will.
is. Especially with that posturing outside of his doorstep, like, because he's losing Banelings, he's morphing in more. He's got a great economy, like he's been on 80 drones for a long time, but that doesn't mean his army is smaller than TY's. And these mines are making engaging very, very difficult. You know, we've got Marauders at the front, sponging most of it, but in come the Banelings, crashing into the defensive line. Lings are now overrunning this third base, and of course catching out all the reinforcements, and now
the Widow Mines.
Huge battle on either side. Still Lings, Widow Mines did not connect. This is a problem here for TY.
22 kills. Now, this has been good from TY, but he's not winning positioning on a base,
no,
so
not.
it does get
cleaned
up. He has to pick up and leave.
Yep.
And meanwhile, he's taking damage at his expansion, TotalBiscuit, so
significant.
It was so good by TY, but that counterattack really changed things.
Yeah, you were saying, like, that's a huge commitment. And you're totally right. But it seems like Solar was able to hold on. Oh, takes a couple of nasty Widowmine hits. Could have been a lot worse. Could have hit the center of the Mutas. Could have hit the Banelings. Just taking out Lings. And I say, he's been on 80 drones this entire time, which is great. He now has this 5th base, which he absolutely needed. You know, 80 drones is not going to help you if you don't have the minerals to mine from them. If he can hold off the next attack, I think he's in a really good position. He's starting the crackling upgrade. Hive is done. Here they come. Free splitting here by TY, however. And even without the mines, that didn't do a lot of damage. Solar is being pushed back to the gold. The gold is under a lot of threat at the moment. There's no tank support, but there are still mines. There's a split again. Huge numbers of Banes coming in, but it's not quite enough. And TY continues.
Yeah, and he's down in supply this entire time. He is still fighting on creep, despite how good of a job he's been doing about cleaning this up. You gotta be careful. Huge medevac block here too as well, but it looks like he's dried up a little bit. If you look at that mini-map, something just didn't click there. The SCV count finally dwindled enough. I think the back natural's been mined out. The main is not being mined, so he's actually running a bit dry. A lot of the steam kind of coming out of the engines. And you just keyed in on some important points. If he can get adrenaline glands, and lo and behold, any ultras out at all, I really fear for TY. I think this is looking good for Solar.
Yeah, and bear in mind that Solar did not go for a quick hive. He was very diligent with his upgrades. He already has 2-2. Chitinous playing already on the way. Getting that 3-3 would be excellent. I mean, TY's being diligent too. He's actually on 3-2 at the moment with level 3 armor on the way, which will be very helpful, especially against those Zerglings. But it's the economy that I'm worried about. He took so much damage. You know, that risky, ballsy counterattack from Solar was hugely effective. Now, he's had an opportunity to get an 18 Mutaflock out with +2, by the way. So that's going to just rip through mineral lines and reinforcing Marines. This is concerning.
He's targeting the expensive depots, actually going after the ones that have the supply call down on top of them. So Marines are going to show up. They are still scary Marines.
Of course.
And there are Thors coming out, so it'll be pushed off, but great damage. Counterattack being set up on the left side of the map, but
TY won't fall for the
TY
same
with that
mistake
star
twice.
sense is going to deflect it, yeah.
Yep. Nice placement of this Widowmine right outside this big crop of Banelings as well. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that, because if Solar goes across that, he's going to lose a big chunk. But I'm just loving Solar's economic position. 3-3 now done for the Terran, but his army's not maxed. That's what's concerning. Yeah, sure, he can hit before 3-3 is done, before the Ultra count gets out of control. There are only 2 of them, but if he loses this army, that could be a real problem for him. And here we go, Banelings crashing in. There are so many Banelings. The Widowmines thankfully do not connect in the middle of them. There's the split here by TY. Thor is here. Thor will focus down that Ultralisk. In come the Banelings once again crashing in. In the meantime, double counter-attack in the background. Mutas hit one base, Lings hit the other. 17 more workers killed. The economy of the Terran is devastated. This might be TY's last chance.
Yeah, this muted counterattack has done such amazing work. If it weren't for that, I would think TY just flipped this game on its head. He still has a left side, kind of the 9 o'clock base over there, so it's not like all hope is lost, but he really needed to keep this economy going, because as you pointed out on the right side, Solar has not had those bases touched at all.
No.
Just now Marines, I mean, as I say it, of course, Marines show up over here, are going to push off the drones, but look at the army responding to that.
Oh yeah, the army supply is big. It's big on both sides. TY still has a really big army, and it's very, very well upgraded, but he doesn't necessarily have the economy to fully recover it. Only 31 workers. Mules are great, don't get me wrong, but what I'm really worried about is his ability to mine gas. He's barely mining it, and at this stage, you need it for your Liberators, Widowmines, Thors, Marauders. You absolutely have to have them, and there are some nice upgrades that could be useful here. Advanced Ballistics would be a great upgrade to have right now. Can't afford it, though.
Yeah, he's just going to kind of stick to the bare minimum right now. He did retake that gold base, but it's only got a few healthy mineral piles
huge
on there.
Huge Widowmine detonation goes off. Ground Carapace level 3 done. Does pick off that 6th base. But yeah, it's so strange to see TY, like, not able to get harassment in anyway. Yeah, he spent a lot of time committing to creep tumors, and this just looks like a giant investment to kill this planetary, which will work. A lot of Banelings were invested to do that and killed. Oh, but the Mutants jump on top of the Liberators, picking off a couple.
Good attack here by Solar, though, and I'm actually really impressed with TY's
more going down.
Decision-making. Like, that base was always going to die, but he actually pulled most of the SCVs out of there. And, like, look behind this. He's not mining the natural. He's just in bad shape, so he's probably dead. But
does
still,
have a big army,
though. He's just a very impressive player.
I couldn't agree more with that. The problem is he's facing off against an equally upgraded Zerg who has the bank to replenish, and TY doesn't. He's got to take a great fight here. The Widowmines do some damage. Most of the Banelings do go down there. That was actually a surprisingly inefficient investment by Solar in that attack. There are Lings again behind the mineral line. Like, he's always doing this. He fights in one place. There he goes. GG. Once again, TY dethroned after a single map, and Solar gets vengeance. And yeah, another really exciting game between these two.
Well played. I mean, a lot of times you get a result like that, but you don't get the good game for that satisfaction. Really well played. TY had this incredible push up where he was splitting masterfully. He was fighting about back creep. He was expanding behind it. It looked like just another Zerg washing up against the beachhead that is TY, but I loved the dedication to counterattacks. There was a couple of really good Ling/Baneling attacks at even planetaries or into the natural that brought this game back within reach for Solar. And then the Muta play as well. At first it was skeptical because it's like, oh, this is really rough. There's Widowmines in places we didn't think they would be. Marines pushing him back, but the dedication to remain to that composition and to find the opportunity to swing into the main and kill 10, 15 SCVs and a couple of reactors, it was a big deal. Really well played by Solar.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal game. Being able to balance that defense with those fragile units against an army of that size and be able to counterattack just at the right time with enough forces to do significant damage, that's really impressive. That shows some excellent decision-making and awareness of the capabilities of units and the capabilities of your opponent. It's something you can't do without that. That just would not work. You'd either overcommit or undercommit and then end up losing. It was a very risky style, I felt, that Solar was playing there, and it paid off.
Both sides, even. TY with the Marine Widowmine style against that. That's something we saw a lot of in HOTS, but I think we were spoiled for resource and watching of some of these guys pulling this off. But a couple of Baneling hits hitting all of your Marines, and the game just ends.
Yeah.
You know, it can get really ugly very, very quickly. So it's incredible to watch these guys do it and get the maximum value out of their units that would otherwise die in the hands of a lesser player. So really nice. I mean, that's the standard we have at ShoutCraft Kings. You know, it's like, whatever, just another amazing player. Roll them in here. Show us the top level play.
Yep. Such a good game. We need a rivalry between these two guys. We really do. I think we already have one. It's one apiece now. We're going to have a third decider at some point. So watch out for that in a future ShoutCraft Kings tournament. Right now, Solar takes the place of his Splice teammate. He gets revenge for his previous loss against TY and ShoutCraft Kings. And Solar is one of the most successful players in this tournament. He has attended almost every one of them. And of course, if you remember, he was dominant at our BlizzCon special edition.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hell of a match from him. Hell of a series of matches from him. And now he sits atop the throne once again. He's going to be difficult to dislodge. But I know a man that might be able to do it iNcontroL, yes. I do. Once again, the theme of today's show is WCS Yon Shopping versus GSL. And what could possibly be better when it comes to representing WCS Yon Shopping than its champion? The Triple Crown champion, first ever for a foreign player, the Protoss Master. It is Neeb.
And Neeb looked good at Young Shipping.
Oh, he looked
we've definitely
excellent.
had champions that have won tournaments, especially inner foreigner events, where it's like, okay, yeah, they were really good, they're better than the rest. But right now, we're just like players like Special, Cyril. Some of these guys are hitting a really high level of play. Even Scarlet, who we did not see get into the top 4, had a good tournament and played really well. So for Neeb to kind of rise above all of that and to repeat after winning WCS Austin and going up against the best players at both those tournaments is truly special. So hopefully he can extend that play and maintain that level, because he'll need it right now against Solar.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's going to be great one way or the other. These guys have faced off many times. Many times. I expect an excellent match from both of them. Ladies and gentlemen, our current King of the Hill in the red trunks, playing Zerg here on Defender's Landing. To the southwest position, it is Splice's Solar. Versus his opponent, the WCS Yon Shopping Triple Crown champion. In the northeast position, playing Protoss in the yellow trunks, it is Neeb.
And Neeb also, I believe, in Korea right now.
Yes, he is. Yep, this is on the Korean server. No excuses. Possibly preparing for the GSL qualifiers tomorrow.
That'd be so cool. There's a lot of foreigners over there doing that right now. I know Scarlet. I believe I heard a Laser is over there. Petit Trogo, Neeb. There's a lot. And these are players that can actually do something there too. I know that we had Special qualify for the GSL this last GSL, unfortunately going out, but again, not losing to any slouches as you would.
No. This is a guy that has proven that he can hang with the best of them. Actually won a Korean tournament, as we said. That that didn't happen. That hasn't happened since Gur. Most people don't even know who Gur is. If they're full of StarCraft 2, Gur, of course, isn't even a StarCraft 2 player. It's that far back. Yeah. It's so incredibly rare for a foreign player to be able to go into the tiger's den, as it were, and actually come out on top. But the problem of that is that you get a lot of pressure. Every time we see a foreign player become successful, suddenly the weight of the world is on their shoulders, saying, you are the person that must lead us. Show us the way. And they also become the most targeted, watched, and researched player in the world.
Yeah, you're touching on an interesting subject. I mean, I think there's a lot of cool examples, and then there's examples where it had a tough effect on the player. I commonly use my friend Greg as an example, but I think this is a good place where there was a time, I know that towards the end of his career, a lot of people were like, he wasn't even as good at the end. It's like, yeah, maybe, but there was a time where he was one of the best, certainly one of the most infamous.
Absolutely,
and
without doubt.
He didn't particularly enjoy the attention, actually.
No.
And it comes, like you said, it comes with a lot of pressure. It comes with a lot of people looking at you all the time, studying your game, but also studying you as a person. And it's tough. And you can kind of see with Neeb too. There's actually a funny tweet that gets tweeted out posted every time he does well. He just one time, I think it was mid last year, said, "I wish people would stop hyping me up. I'm overrated." And then he goes on to win all these tournaments, and we're like, okay, either you're like beyond believable humble, or you're actually kind of an idiot. And
well, we've seen him on every stage interview. You know, every single one of them. He'll be asked a question and he will offer some sort of self-deprecating answer, even when he's won a prize. I believe the promo photo that was used for his WCS Yon shopping win, he looks so sad to have had it happen. It's just like, he's not sad, we know he isn't. He just, he is very self-deprecating.
We have a very funny generation right now. They're very young players. Cyril, true to like Finnish tradition, Smix is like, what do you think? Winning in front of all these people, and he's like, it's nice. But even Neeb, she's like, man, you played so good. This must feel great. What do you think? And he's like, well, I was surprised. I didn't think I would play this good. I mean, who says stuff like that? These guys are so funny. It's like, you're actually one of the best. You're actually freaking incredible, and you know that. Because he practices and he beats other best players. Yeah, he probably loses, but even that's an armchair philosopher's dream, or not philosopher, but psychologist's dream, where it's like they look into losses to other top players and they think of that as a sign of something bad. And it's like, no, man, that's normal. That's what happens.
Now, let's see what's going on at the moment, because this Dark Shrine is on its way. There is a Warp Prism already up, so one would think Archon drop. Very effective, but the interesting thing about that is you can start with DTs. Maybe catch your opponent unawares if they don't have detection, which Solar absolutely does, by the way. He has a spore, although actually he doesn't have a spore in his main, which is interesting. Only in his natural and third. So DTs could do some damage, but then of course if you can get the DTs out, you can turn them into Archons, and then you can do some serious damage there. Oh my god, that was so very close. Almost lost that Dark Templar.
Too close, TotalBiscuit. Too close. They weren't going to do anything.
Not for Neeb, apparently.
Yeah, not for Neeb, I guess. He's going to fool around over here. There is an Overseer hunting around.
Yep.
So
trying to jump on it.
Into Archons just yet. He's going to,
there we go.
Find a safe corner over there.
Just out of the way.
So this is that classic Archon drop, and behind you can see Immortals. But curiously enough, and we'll see if this continues this way, we don't see any upgrades. Charge is now 100, so it's very inexpensive. I know that these guys still favor Adepts, even at this stage, just as like a nice answer to things like Hydras, and they do an okay job buffering against Roaches. Not mega ideal, but for right now, he's just going to macro it up with the Immortals coming out a couple of sentries while he occupies the attention of Solar with these Archons.
That is absolutely true. It's a situation where you can't just leave any of your bases, because there's that risk of these huge, giant, etheric balls of death energy just dropping into your mineral line, and suddenly all your drones have disappeared in a cloud of smoke. And even just random units that are lying around, you drop the Archons, take a couple of shots, maybe pick some units off, and then just get out of there. And because they're so shield intensive, they can get out, regenerate very quickly, and go back in. They're really hard to get rid of. Almost to the point where, as a Zerg player, you have to come up with a specific response to that. Maybe build Mutas or Corruptors just to stop that damn Warp Prism.
Yeah. Well, it's fun seeing the progression of these players too, though, because I think back to the last ShoutCraft Kings, and this build was still a big part of the meta, but not too long before that period. So we're talking like 4 months ago. The Zergs did not know how to handle this. It was ridiculous. No. They were losing droves of drones. They were having Lings get destroyed. They were just moving Roaches into it, losing those, of course, to a micro Warp Prism with the Archons. But now, as we can see here, it's a lot more formulaic. It's a little bit more of a like, hey, I'm going to see what you're doing, force out some units, and try to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But it's harder to do actual damage.
Yeah. The nice thing was, even though he didn't do much damage with the Archons, what he did do was open up a hole to do 7 drones worth of damage with just 2 Adepts, which was excellent. Now, the Solar was so paranoid about the Archon drop that he sort of left a hole open for a couple of Adepts to exploit. Templar Archives being added into the mix as well. We're seeing incredibly tech-heavy build here from Neeb. Immortals already on the board. We've got the addition of sentries and, of course, Roach Hydra, or in this case, just Hydra for the most part, with a couple of Ravagers in the mix is Solar's choice. But now he's adding Banelings as well. What an interesting combination.
Yeah, and a huge swell of Lings coming out from behind us. That usually tips off that we're about to see an attack. Lings are not very supply or larva friendly. They occupy very little supply, but take out all your larva.
Yeah.
So you really only do that when you're muscling up for a big attack or responding to a potential attack. And we can see that I think Neeb's going to key in on that. He scouts out with a hallucination in the 4th base, doesn't see gases, doesn't see a lot of attention to things like Queen spreading creep or a lot of drones. It's decently saturated, but it's not flooded with drones. So I feel like he has to know. And that's why if you look, he did finish the Temple Archives, as you point out, but instead of going right to Storm, he's actually making more Archons. And that's because he feels like he's going to need those right now and not have time for Storm. Yeah,
he is going to get hit. There's no doubt about that. If he overcommitted the overtech, that would be a problem. He knows. He pulls back. That is a massive tech-heavy army from Neeb. What I'm concerned about is he completely skipped upgrade. That said, weirdly enough, so did Solar with his ranged units. He actually only has melee, which will help the Baneling, certainly, but that Hydra count versus Guardian Shield, I'm not so convinced that's going to do a lot.
Well, Prism does go down kind of haphazardly here. He's going to back up to the Photon Overcharge Pylons, but Solar's not afraid. He's going to push in. The Baneling's trying to find purchase. They don't get it. And Neeb kind of huddled in the corner, a very dangerous spot. If the Banelings can get their AoE in, they can do a lot of damage. But as you point out, a lot of this army is Archon and Immortal. It can weather the storm fairly well.
It absolutely can. That 4th base being continually threatened, he's going to have to cancel. There's no real doubt about that. Neeb can't really defend this. It's not an ideal position to be in at the moment. We saw the force fields go down. They were just immediately broken by Ravager shots, like almost like he predicted that they were going to go down. But now Neeb does have this big, scary army, and he's adding Disruptors in. We talked about that prior, about how dangerous the unit the Disruptor can be.
He's very good with Disruptors, but he doesn't typically go for them in this matchup for one reason or another, but I like this here. It's a really nice way to add some pretty powerful AoE to your army, especially if you're facing something like Ling, Hydra, Baneling. The Disruptors are just so good at you saying, okay, I'm going to pull back, lob a Disruptor at them, and if they're not paying attention, you can see as many as like 20 Banelings go down to a shot, and that is insane. But here we're going to have a big fight. There's the Disruptor shot in the middle.
Oh my
He
lord.
does get a big hit, and this army's going to get destroyed.
That was exceptional awareness and positioning there from Neeb to know where half of his opponent's army was to be able to flank it. He hits it from 2 sides. In the meantime, there's some interesting nonsense going on because 5 drop overlords were morphed. So we may see some Baneling or just some Ling drops. Economic harassment needs to be done. I mean, Neeb's economy has remained pretty much untouched up to this point, and that's not a good thing. Not at all.
Neeb's army is the, like, Schwarzenegger of Protoss armies. It's rolling in.
It's scary.
Doesn't have a Warp Prism to reinforce. It doesn't need to on a super medium-sized map, but so many Immortals. Even if you drop Banelings on this, unless Neeb is mega clumped up, you'll get the sentries, which is nice. Oh,
that's not going to get anything done.
This army's just out of position.
No.
Oh,
no. Oh, no, that's a disaster for Solar. I don't know why he did that. I understand the idea of lifting to set up a flank, but then he just went in with it and didn't attack. Oh. And that might... I mean, that's certainly not going to help. These Banelings are probably not going to get morphed. They're getting Disruptor shot, all quickly cancelled, but... What a force field donor all set up right here. These Immortals standing tall. They are taking a lot of fire from the high ground, though. And most of them...
domination.
No. Just not even close. That was brutal to watch.
Yep. United Airlines Solar there ends up actually just ducking it. I know. You know, if we're going to do the dad jokes, you know,
sure.
I got to...
It's fair.
That joke was in fashion about 4 months ago. But... I got to do what I got to do to get by. But good play by Neeb. And we're seeing, it's interesting to look at. It is Archon drop. He ends up going with kind of the macro follow-up to it. And on a medium-sized map like that, the whole thing about the Archon drop is it's trying to free up space and time. So it's interesting because Solar decided to go up to 4 bases, even to 5, and didn't really think about attacking until well after the Archon drop had already kind of done its job. And by the time he did think about it, he really just didn't have confidence. Like, he shows up, sees the army comp of Neeb, and then backs away almost immediately, which I think is a little bit peculiar because it's like, well, Did you scout that? Did you speed Overlord scout? Because if you didn't, if the answer is no to all of it across the board, then the decision to make like 40 Banelings and come out with 100 Zerglings was a really odd one from Solar. Because that's a huge commitment to only then be like, oh my god, he's got Immortals and Archons? I was expecting Zealots and Stalkers. Well, I'm not going to fight that. And like he backs away. What was he hoping for?
I don't know. But what confused me about Solo in particular there is like you go for a Hydra Roach Ravager and you don't invest even in +1 ranged attack. So what did you think was going to happen? The Guardian Shield goes up, the Hydra DPS gets cut heavily. You don't have the firepower you need to bring down tough units like Immortals and Archons, and you get bulldozed. And that just uncharacteristic mistake with the army in the drop overlords, just running into Neeb's force and then just dying completely, at which point he was done for. He threw away 30 plus supply of units, and then Neeb's like, all right, I'm gonna kill you now then.
Yep. And that's been an interesting kind of development, by the way. There's a lot of Zergs that don't do double Evo Chamber, and if they are going to do an upgrade or two, it will be an attack upgrade, usually melee or something like that. But I don't disagree with you, especially in a world where the meta for Protoss has become very Immortal, Archon, and then Warp Prism Harass style, be it with Adepts or Charge Lots. And then backed up by Storm. That sounds like a really scary army to come in on with 0 carapace upgrades or at least range attack. Because if it is, like you said, just Ling Baneling running into it, you're kind of being like, hey, Protoss man, I hope you're not splitting. And if they are, you're like, gosh darn it, Protoss is stupid. And then you're out of the game.
Excellent performance there by Neeb. Of course, his PvZ was tested in the finals of WCS Yon Shopping against Serral. A very narrow victory, 4-3.
Yeah. Well, everyone's saying Serral is on Korean level. He's extremely good. Doesn't have the results yet to prove that, but he won the 2 WCS EU qualifiers leading up to Yangshiping and Valencia. And he immediately tweeted after Yangshiping, "See you in Valencia." So I love that. That kind of big talk. I want to see someone back it up.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we need a bit of a rivalry. I think would be excellent between those two. Yeah, that will be cool. Well, excellent. Finally, foreign player manages to draw first blood here in our WCS Yon Shopping versus GSL themed ShoutCraft Kings tournament, but he's not going to have it easy, no doubt about it. The next opponent is someone he is very, very familiar with. Everybody should be. He plays in everything, as we're well aware. That's what made him so good. His play was ubiquitous, and regardless of being seen by everybody, it doesn't matter. He just got this damn good, and he's the world damn champion. He's Bjorn.
Beyond, we oftentimes talk about some of these foreign players that hit this gear where, at least amongst their peers, they're fairly untouchable. I think of players like Stefano in his prime. They just have this ability to hit this level. And Beyond, and I've said this before, but I'll say it forever because I had a front row seat to this thing, as did you, and it was a thing to watch. The level he hit at BlizzCon, I don't know that I've ever seen that level of StarCraft 2 play. And I've watched Flash play. I've watched J-Dong play. And I've watched a lot of these really good players play in their prime. But Beyond, circa November of last year, was the best StarCraft I've ever seen.
Yeah, it really was. Such a committed player. Someone who got there just through sheer hard work. No tricks, just practice to the point where you were just better than everybody else. But of course, puts a target on your back. It's very hard to maintain that level of success.
And he hasn't.
No.
By the way. And that's something that I think is actually exciting about the scene, because at BlizzCon, I was like, well, this guy's going to win everything forever, because that's untouchable. He made Dark look silly. Other than one game, pretty mediocre, actually.
Yeah.
But no, he has not been able to maintain it, because that's fucking impossible.
Yep. In a game this competitive, in a game where you could study your opponent as much as you do, yeah, it's pretty damn difficult. But there's some unusual stuff going on right here, because spawning to the southeast position, the challenger from Team Expert, the world champion in the red trunks, it's Beyond, who is proxying barracks.
With no gas yet. He's going to take the gas now. So So I think it should just be a Reaper, but this might actually be a floated factory TotalBiscuit.
Yeah, I was thinking that based on the size of that home base area here, that looks like it's exactly what it is. Man, this is a old trick.
It's going to get scouted. Neeb, you know, that's a fun thing too about StarCraft. It kind of comes back and forth, but there's some Protoss, especially in Heart of the Swarm, that just never scouted. So this kind of stuff was extremely deadly to them, especially in a best of one. But Neeb will scout it, and basically the second he pulls up this ramp and sees the one depot by itself, alarm bells are going off. And I wonder if those alarm bells are good enough to trigger what we're seeing here, which is it's going to be a Reaper at first, and it looks like it won't be a factory. Maybe the factory goes down in the main anyways.
Yeah.
You kind of have to, I think, because otherwise there's things like a mothership core showing up or something like that that just end. Well, no, I'm just going to shut
you
up
put
now.
it there. Sure. Why
yeah,
not?
I'm just going to stop talking.
All right, this is interesting. I've not seen Beyond pull something like this. My assumption's got to be that these guys know each other this damn well, that Beyond's pulling something odd out of his hat, something that Neeb would not expect. Yeah, Neeb can be thrown by Crazy Cheese. That can happen.
Tank push, I think.
Who the hell proxies a tank? Well, we know the answer to that.
What a TotalBiscuit throwback. Oh,
it happens.
God.
In the meantime, Beyond manages to sneak over. Beyond's Reapers are maybe the best in the world. They are a nightmare to deal with. A Zealot chasing around a Reaper is just sad to watch. Mothership Core is finally out, so you will have to move away there. It's a proxy cyclone.
Hey, what a great... Oh, that moment, though. Every Protoss has been there.
Ah, that's going to sting.
Completely wasted photon overcharge.
Yep. The interesting thing about this is...
on apart a little bit, but this is... The good call here was canceling the Nexus. A really hard call to make. The bad news is he just now is starting Warp Gate. He's starting a Stalker. The Cyclone's going to be cheap. Like, if you don't have a pilot at the top of this ramp and preferably a photon overcharge, I don't know what you do. But what I do like, too, actually, is he's actually just going to send the Mothership Core across the map. Now, it gets spotted, but the anti-air DPS of these Cyclones is so low, and he can actually manipulate the high ground here, that this is winning so much time for him.
Yeah.
What a great move.
Yeah, and he now knows. It's like, well, that Cyclone came from that direction. You must have proxied a factory. That's the only thing you could have possibly done. It looks like he is going to lose the Mothership Core, but that was unfortunate. He didn't quite have the energy. If he had maybe just one more second. But yes, you're right. It bought time, which had to happen. It absolutely had to, because really there was nothing for Neeb to defend with at this point. The Reaper comes in again. Beyond's Reaper just still gets damage done. It is finally shut down. The barracks just floating, having a look, saying, all right, what are you doing? What are you building? Yeah, what's going on?
And, okay, Beyond's going to completely bail out of this. He even has a Viking at home. He's starting his Nexus. I think this is a bit of a hey, you made the right call. If that Nexus doesn't get canceled, if these gateways don't get thrown down, which the Reaper all saw, by the way, then Beyond pours on the pressure, ends the game probably, and takes home a free wad of $250. Instead, he's going to fall back at home and hope that Neeb overcompensates, because we have a Warp Prism coming out, and Neeb's going to go for that. But against two Cyclones, TotalBiscuit, and a Raven, I don't like the odds, and it's actually going to get scouted here as well by that barracks.
Yep. Unbelievable. It's like, what use can you get out of proxy racks? Apparently a lot. Just
I would like to see Neeb cool his strat now. He's not going to do it. He just warped in a ton of Stalkers. With that scout right there, I would have liked to have seen Neeb be like, okay, I will expand as well, and hope you in turn overcompensate for what you just scouted. But going in here, he's going to go up against a bunker. Like I said, that Raven, there's two Cyclones up here. It's a lot.
It's rough. It is. I mean, I don't know if he can overwhelm his opponent here. With another warp in, possibly, he could get something done. But he has no blink. He has the warp prism, which is,
try to elevate.
Yeah, it's 8th rate kind of blink. Problem is, the two Cyclones right there, that Warp Prism shouldn't survive, and there's already a Raven and a Viking, and there's the lock-on, and it's down. Oh, dear. Well, that didn't get anything done, did it?
He's making another Warp Prism. He might as well just GG right now. I think he's going to show up, see that there's a bunker, there's some Marines here. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a GG out of him. Yeah, he's going to maybe kill the bunker, but take so much damage for it. The Cyclones are just so strong here.
Yes, they're great against Stalkers.
Medevac.
Yep, that's going to sting. GG, wow. That was a complete miscalculation by Neeb there.
Yeah, well, it's kind of cool because, you know, again, it's best of one, so I don't want to take this too far to the bank and be like, oh, I can't, you know, just such superior play by Beyond. It's a short game, but of the couple of decisions that were made in there that were key, Beyond goes for this, like, really aggressive, all of his bases outside. Neeb makes the right call, and Beyond makes the hard choice to not lock in and be tunnel visioned, and ends up winning because of it, because on the flip side, it's Neeb that's like, well, now that I've overcompensated, I feel like I have to all in. It gets scouted, and instead of making the savvy choice of being like, well, that was my best chance, but now I think it's not my chance at all, he still just committed to it, and it got shut down hard.
It did. It really did. Could have just, you know, sat there and started work, and honestly, that would have been the right call, because we did see Beyond in just the defensive posture without the capability to really harass. It's like he didn't have medevac. What's he going to do? Harass with the Cyclones? Just watch them slowly trundle across the map? No.
Right.
Neeb didn't take a huge amount of damage, not game-ending. He could have just built a Nexus and started work. But yeah, it was a very desperate response, and it evidently was the wrong one.
Yep. I mean, sometimes, you know, in StarCraft, you have to make choices off of limited information.
Yes.
Neeb was not sure how much of a commitment that was from Beyond. I mean, as we saw, it was a pretty severe one, but not so much so economically, at least, that he was in this like completely different stratosphere.
No.
But I think if Neeb would have, I don't know, just thought differently and made the other decision to just expand behind that, I think the game evens out. But you know, hindsight's 2020. The other world is where Beyond's like not looking in that spot. He elevates his whole army up there and wins this ridiculous, awesome game. And we're sitting here not judging him, but instead celebrating his awesome decision-making.
Nicely done by Beyond. Excellent defense. Completely on point. A very odd opening, obviously threw Neeb off completely, which was the goal of the whole thing. You know, when you fight somebody that much, when you're that familiar with them, throw in something completely unexpected to throw them off their game. Well, that's unfortunate. Did Cheese fail? It did not. It looked like it did, but it screwed with Neeb so much that was that. Yep. Exceptional play from Beyond. And of course, as the world champion, you couldn't have a better King of the Hill. You couldn't ask for a better King of the Hill, but there are so many more players to go. We've just got started. We're only through 2 groups. We have 3 more groups of excellent players to go. It's going to be exciting. We're barely started. So we're going to have a quick break. We're going to tell you a little bit more about some of the other incredible StarCraft tournaments that you can watch over the next couple of days. And then when we come back, Beyond will defend his throne here in ShoutCraft Kings June. Who will be able to dethrone the world champion? A question we have often asked, and more often than not, the answer is not very many people. We'll see whether or not that happens today. You're watching ShoutCraft Kings. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Beginning on June 24th, directly after ShoutCraft Kings, is the $1,200 Gauntlet Season 3 Finals. 16 of the top players from the Americas, EU, and Korea battle for StarCraft 2 glory.
Oh, yes. Hopefully you enjoyed the music from Little V. He's the guy that wrote and composed our ShoutCraft Kings theme music, which is absolutely awesome. People ask me, what's the name of it? It's like our theme song, I guess. It doesn't really have a name. It's ours.
Hail to the King or something, right?
Indeed. Pretty much. I guess we can call it that. Why not?
Yeah. It's really good.
It is. It's awesome. Well, hail to the king right now. Beyond the world champion is the king. Not a bad choice at all. He's got the pedigree to have earned it. He's going to be facing off against an excellent challenger. One of my personal favorites. I think one of the favorites of a lot of people. Like, this is a guy that's impossible not to like. His history in this particular sport has made pretty much everybody respect him, regardless of who he's playing up against. Even if he's playing up against the absolute favorite, it's hard not to root. Get it? For Hero.
I know.
It's never going to end.
At least I saw that one coming. When I see it coming, I feel less bad. But when it happens and then moments later realize it happened, no.
Yep. Blindside you. Hero, of course, formerly of CJ Entus, the Smiling Assassin, the captain of a very successful Pro League team, which sadly no longer exists. He went and joined Root, which is a great organization for fan favorites, I think. So it was a really nice pickup. He will face off against Bjorn.
I was laughing when you were saying he's one of everyone's favorites. You're absolutely correct, but it's like, what an accomplishment being smiley and cute can get you, because he's still a Protoss player that makes a lot of DTs and cannons. And
he can be a cheesy bastard. And yet he's one of the only people to kind of get away with it and sort of have the fans support him in that. You know? I feel like it's him and Hitman. You know, the people like, yay, he's doing something awful in Protoss.
Hitman's an even like crazier reference. You're not wrong, but he was a
long time
blip
ago
in the scene, and he was a mostly foreigner guy that did mostly foreigner things, but he had quite the following.
That he did. I think you gotta respect the balls on somebody that does those sort of things. And does it so consistently. It keeps doing it. It's like, oh no, Protoss, God, why? But yeah, I couldn't help but root for the guy. As it stands, we have two fan favorites here in this matchup. To the southeast positioning, the reigning king of the hill and the current world champion in the red trunks playing Terran on Abyssal Reef. It is Beyond. Versus his opponent to the northwest position. In the blue trunks playing Protoss, the Smiling Assassin from Team Root, it's Hero.
In Abyssal Reef, one of the more balanced maps in the map pool. You're not going to hear a whole lot of complaints about the swings of the matchups back and forth. But what it does offer is a lot of bases kind of tightly packed, so both players are going to have to try to find a way to kind of unravel their opponent. Sometimes we'll see Terrans do like a Marine tank push to the base of the natural or outside the third and try to go for kind of a key, more pointed attack as opposed to like a move type attack. And then Protoss players, very fond of Stargates, really just in the matchup, not necessarily the map. And then trying to use that Oracle to keep them informed for the rest of the game.
With Hero, it could be absolutely anything, as we're well aware. Could be standard, and he plays some great games. We've seen him play some awesome games in ShoutCraft Kings. You know, he actually had quite the streak at one point. I believe it was the last tournament we did in March. He performed very well.
Yeah. Well, the thing about him, too, is, like, he has this reputation because he is willing to do anything, but I would never think of Hero and be like, what a cheesy Protoss. He's not like that at all. I think of his control and micro more than anything else, which in a world where players have phenomenal control, he is actually one of the kind of chief amongst them. He does some amazing things. Blink Stalkers in particular are very potent.
Should be pointing out, this is a rematch from ShoutCraft Kings March. When Hero went on his tear, he defeated Bunny, Snoot, True, and Scarlet, one after another, and then fell to none other than the current reigning King of the Hill, Beyond. So this is an opportunity to get a little bit of revenge here for Hero, to put that win back on the board, to dethrone Beyond before he even gets any momentum going, which to me seems like if there is a strategy to being good at King of the Hill, it's stop the king from getting momentum. Because once that happens, it becomes harder and harder to beat him.
Yep, because then you're starting to operate off of the supposed information they're projecting out there, but it gives them like extra opportunity to kind of fake you out almost. Like, you saw me play that TVP where I went quick Widowmine drop. Well, guess what? It's Proxy Reaper, you know, and then the other opponent gets kind of caught with their pants down a little bit. I always think it's a funny saying, because sometimes being caught with your pants down can be a good thing.
It can. There's always two sides to that particular coin. Hero trying to chase down Beyond's Reaper, and the interception, and down it goes. Lovely play. Unusual to see Beyond's Reaper get caught out like that.
Yeah, he's not going to be too happy about that.
I would say not. That's his scout gone. And the third base immediately goes down behind that fact. Super early here for Hero.
And another Oracle as well.
Oh my.
I don't mind the return. Obviously, it's a consolation. It's not ideal. And we're going to see a Widowmine drop come out here as well, and that's actually the second worst thing about the Oracle.
Oh, wow, it actually goes in.
Yeah, he's going to leave it in the main. That's awesome. I guess he just says the Robo's too far off, and he knows the timing of an attack like this, and says, nope, I need it back at home. Now, the problem here is he doesn't have a pylon behind that mineral line, so this is going to get some damage. There's just no way around it. There's only one Phoenix coming out. There's no ground units. There's no pylon.
There's the double burrow and the split.
Very good.
Minimizing damage as best he can. And, oh, little slow by Hero there. Could have lifted that. Could have shut that down, killed the mine. As it turns out, you know, a mine gets away, whereas it really didn't have the right to. The other one's still buried there, of course. Now the detection is up.
I was just going to say, does he actually think it's gone?
No, thankfully not.
Waited a little while.
Yeah, that could have been potentially disastrous if that were the case.
Oh, man. Beyond disastrous.
Yeah, makes me think Beyond did that on purpose.
Yeah. It would have been Transformers 5 level bad. It would have escalated pretty far.
Man, I don't even know if I would go that far to say that.
There's a scene in the movie where Anthony Hopkins gets hit by a Megatron, whatever the hell he shoots, and it goes into slow motion, shows him flipping through the air. He hits the hillside. It's one of the most unflattering... It's the most unflattering shot of him in his long and storied career as an actor. And then they have him heavy breathing, talking to his butler robot.
What?
And the butler robot says, the hardest part about my job has been watching all of your family die. And then he looks at the robot and says, yeah, but I did something. And then he dies.
Nice pick up there. Hero realizing where the mine was. There, the quick lift. Managed to lift it before it went off. You know, he's got a Phoenix that did take a mine hit. Gets that out of the way, which is good. And then we are seeing almost just...
He knows.
Don't be a Phoenix pilot today in ShoutCraft Kings, apparently. It is a very dangerous job. Heroes control just good enough to escape, but those are... They're flying with one wing, holes through the canopy right now. And not able to intercept that medevac with the tank in it, but does drop the revelation.
Oh my god. Yeah, he's trying. I like how the tank's hidden, by the way.
That is... yeah, I don't often see that. It's like he did not... I don't believe he knows about it, because it was in the medevac, as he said, and now he puts himself in a position where it's like, oh, that's really awkward to attack.
And it comes at an awkward time. Charge is a little ways away from finishing. Obviously, if this attack stays there, the Phoenix and Charge lots will be able to clean this up without any problem at all. A little bit of a Widowmine drop behind the third.
Yeah, got shut down completely.
But
the second one didn't.
Being harassed, this is really hurting the economy.
Yeah, that's not good. It's such a quick response from Hero, seeing that come in. Immediately shuts down the first mine, but there were two. And that one did get a shot off one way or the other. Phoenixes have a look and say, right, okay, that's what you got. This is tricky, but I think I've got what I need to beat you now. He's going to take a couple of shots. Yeah, it's nasty. He's having to fight into a choke point. The tank does get lifted up, though. That's the advantage of still having those Phoenixes. Almost picks off that medevac, which would have been nice. And both sides trading out. Just mineral units, really. Widowmine is finally dealt with, but look at the setup to the flank here. Beyond has another army that's in position, and there is no defense. A single photon cannon, there's really not a lot of energy. Hero's going to have to swing back, which would leave his third open if he's not careful. Widowmine goes off.
Marine Force is going to come in here. It's just a few charges to come out of there. The medevacs will die and a nice little pickup, but it's going to cost him.
Oh, God, the Phoenixes. Oh, that is so expensive. But the economy of Hero did take... it took a lot of hits as well, and Beyond just broke through, and suddenly, sort of out of nowhere, Hero's like, I'm doing fine, I'm doing fine. I am not doing fine. Not at all. No, God, the positioning of Beyond is so good. These chargelets are hopeless in this situation. 27 workers killed. Like, that's game-ending damage.
Yep. He could he could realistically GG right now. I mean, what is the follow-up? If he had like Storm or something, I would be able to talk about this opportunity for him to come back, because if you have a Storm, you've got a chance, but he doesn't. Now, he's got a lot of gas, so actually, as I kind of say that, I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the first things he does when we come back to this game, because the Templar Archives just going there is going to be really good.
He has to open the door for Gumiho. Gumiho's coming home.
How was your day?
Not bad. Not bad. To play King.
It's like 25,000 for GSL, I think, to win.
I think it was 30. 25 or 35 or something along those lines.
Oh, there you go.
Oh dear.
That's a Toyota Corolla, man. And then, like, some options on it, too.
Oh my. Just waiting. He's having to open the door for Gumiho, and he'll be back momentarily. Oh dear. I mean, I don't think it matters at this point. You know, we're looking at the current situation of the game, and it's rough. It is not looking good for Hero. He has a decent army, but the economy is decimated. And in this situation, you're just like, right, what is the counterattack potential here for Hero? And
0.
Yeah. The Phoenixes could do some damage. There are still 5 of them, but a lot of them are badly hurt already. And there is a missile turret in the natural. There's a missile turret in the third. The main does not have one of those, but it is mostly mined out. So even if you do kill workers here, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't do anything.
Well, the Phoenix aren't going to fly out, because in this game, every time they hit mid-map, they've absorbed 2 Widowmine shots and are being chased by stimmed Marines. So it's just not going to... he's just got to sit back. I mean, that's actually the place we get a little bit critical, is he went charge lots. So, like, he's making a Warp Prism, and that was the intent for those charge lots, but it took him long enough to get there because he went for this mega fast third off of a failed Oracle that... he was never the one dropping. He was he who gets dropped.
Yeah. He looks and it's like, oh dear. How am I going to attack that? Beyond is locked down in many places. So what I'm thinking right now is, if he can get a Prism, which he does, I'm thinking Chargelet drop, perhaps, which is exactly what he's thinking as well. You could do some damage with that. Yeah? You can get into a mineral line, shred, get out. It's not a big investment. You know, when you have a deficiency of workers, some mineral-only units are not too bad to throw at your enemy. But if Bjorn decides to just bring the hammer down, which he may very well with an army of that size, it may not matter. And I think Bjorn probably has the sense to realize my opponent's on the ropes here, don't give him any breathing room.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happening. He's up 60 plus supply.
Yeah.
The drop shows up, but just what's being produced is enough to hold it off.
Yes.
And then we look back and see what does Hero have to defend this? Well, he's going to order up some Archons, probably. He would have liked them to
Storm
have just
on the
been
way.
Templar, but there's no time.
Yep. Storm is probably coming a minute too late if he had it active here. I mean, he can, of course, force field at least to prevent the army going that way, so he can slow it down a little bit, but Beyond's not going to stop. Like, he has no reason to stop. The Phoenixes are a pain, certainly, but look at the liberation zones deployed. Hero can't go forward here. He needs to try and hold on to this base, but with very little units, like, gets the feedbacks and then immediately moves to Archons, but Beyond's right on top of them immediately. There's another warping coming. The Archons, some of them might finish. It's possible, but no, I don't, it doesn't, does it matter? It might, it does, kinda. He killed a lot of Terran there, but the Archons are dead now, and that base is forfeit. The Phoenixes, though, the base is not forfeit.
You might end up cleaning this up, but it's the Protoss army that dipped in supply. There's a fourth base going on behind this.
Yeah, there's 74-80 now supply of Terran behind it. Like, that looked good, and it was a pretty damn good defense for Hero considering, but it's the second one that's gonna get you.
Yeah. Terran armies aren't meant to stick around. It's the Protoss army that have to hit a place where, you used the word earlier, but they have to gain momentum. They gotta snowball downhill, and Hero's just never been allowed to do that. He went to those charge lots, which are not like a retention-based army comp.
Eats that Widow Mine as well on the Phoenixes. That's not good. Storm goes down, double, triple Storm. Nice Storms. not quite enough. If he could get a couple more down there, because there are no medevacs. If he could just had 1 or 2 more storms, he goes in with what he's got, tries to detonate some Widow Mines over the Terran army. It's not enough. It's not enough.
No, never an answer for the Liberators. This one is hanging on with very little health. GG. And Hero got a Showtime level mauling there. Very well played from Beyond.
Yeah, that stung. That was unpleasant, no doubt about that. Really well played. Beyond, obviously on form there. Some good holds from Hero considering, but the amount of, it was that 1-2 punch, that huge amount of damage that was just done, losing almost 30 probes. There's really not a lot of coming back from that unless you are constantly doing run-bys on your opponent to whittle them down, which he couldn't do. You know, he had to have everything at home, otherwise he was just going to overrun.
Yeah, it was that, and also that fight outside the natural with the Marines tucked in behind that spot. If you're not running that over and picking off both the medevacs, after all the time that they forced you to not be mining, then you're just insurmountably behind, as we saw.
Yeah. Yeah, shame about Storm. You know, we saw great Storms. If he had it a bit earlier, maybe he could have turned that around. It is possible for Protoss to come back from that position.
Sure.
When you have something as key as that, maybe you have a couple of disruptors which turn the tide, or you have those money storms that turn the tide. Unfortunately, too little too late there for Hero. And Beyond just brings the hammer down. Of course, he wasn't going to let him have that. He wasn't going to let him rebuild. He knew that his opponent was bleeding badly.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what separates him a lot too. It feels like a lot of these players, these mega top level players, know things off of the same information we have, but they're just making choices because they're pretty damn sure of where it's at and they're nailing it.
Yeah, and that's world champion level game sense right there. That's why he is the world champion. Not just mechanics, as great as he is at that. Not just his speed, but his decision-making, his smarts, his intelligence.
Absolutely.
Hell of a play. We'll give him that. This may very well be another lengthy reign for Beyond, who, by the way, was almost at the top of the board when it comes to wins. Like, he is biting at the heels of Innovation right now.
Someone's got him.
It's that he does, yeah. Someone has got to displace the machine. Well, currently switching servers for our next matchup. I'd like to remind you, of course, you want to join in the conversation on social media. Get your tweets up on the stream. Let everyone else read them. Use the hashtag ShoutCraft on Twitter. Hashtag ShoutCraft. We'll pick the best ones, put them up on the stream. Thank you again for tuning in. Thanks to those in America who showed up so damn early. Who actually got out of bed on a Saturday morning. Very much appreciated. You're awesome. We appreciate that. Big thanks, of course, to Blizzard for making this event happen. They sponsor the whole prize pool.
And all of you guys,
yeah,
even if you didn't wake up early, maybe you're a European enjoying a fine, you know, what is it that Europeans eat? I think it's like a raccoon or...
No, we don't have those.
Okay. Ground squirrel, then probably.
Yes, yeah, squirrels. Pigeons, in particular.
I knew it.
Rats of the sky. You have no response to that. I don't blame you.
You say these things and it just locks me into the idea of just seeing that.
Your brain's like, is this a human being talking words? Are these real? Is anything real? Well, we have a challenge for Beyond. In keeping with our theme today, WCS Yon Shopping versus GSL. His next opponent, this should be one hell of a matchup. You are very keenly aware as to how good this player just recently demonstrated his TBT is.
I can't believe you just said keenly and it's not keen, by the way.
It's
what
not.
a missed opportunity for a terrible joke.
It's actually Keller's. It was still a K. Still a K.
Okay, we got that going.
Indeed. So, for those of you who were not paying attention to WCS Yon Shopping, how good is Keller's TBT right now?
It's elevated. The word on the street is, and again, you know, take this for what it is, but the players were saying that he, having gone to Korea and been training, had actually hit innovation and beyond on that Korean ladder fairly regularly and was not just losing games, winning some games as well.
Yep. his results at WCS Yon Shopping in that matchup were just ridiculous. Like, we're talking about 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, just mauling people. And honestly, TVT is a really hard match to be extremely good at.
Oh, yeah.
When we see a good TVT player, we often think of the greatest of all time in South Korea. Like, we'll think about Flash. We'll think about Ryung in his prime sometimes.
Sure.
We'll think about innovation, of course. And in this case, we see a foreign player who is demonstrating excellent TVT. Can he do it against one of the best in the world? All right, folks, here we go. Let's find out. To the northwest position in the blue trunks, playing Terran, the challenger, Root Kelazur, representing the country of Brazil, versus his South Korean opponent, the world champion, to the southeast position from Team Expert. In the red trunks, it is Beyond. And we already have some shenanigans on the way here. Kelazur going for the proxy barracks and a second SCV following that up.
Mm-hmm. And he's mining gas, so it's going to be proxy Reaper. Trying to jump up into that high ground. Reaper, definitely a common thing, and then a lot of players will actually follow it up with either Hellions or Cyclone.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like what Kelazur's trying to leverage is the hope that he goes in that direction. But what? Look at Beyond.
What?
This is not normal. An in-base second barracks?
No, this almost makes me think that these guys have run into each other, as you just mentioned, on Korean Ladder, and Beyond knows something as a result.
He'd have to. Just making Reapers from home and flying them across the map is okay, especially if you're Beyond, by the way, because his Reaper, as you said, is probably the best in the world.
Yes.
You can make magic happen, and if you look at these maps, well, I don't think... Yeah, you can hop up that cliff, actually. So there's some pretty good surface area to get up in the main. But even then, it's just that front area, so as far as maps go, there are better ones. But, all right, we'll see.
It is an interesting decision from both players here. A Reaper battle with Beyond.
He's even looking for the proxy. Look at Beyond.
Yeah.
He finds it.
This has got to be something that Kelazur has pulled on him before, or pulled on one of his friends before, you know.
Or he hacks. Are we sure that he doesn't hack?
I'm going to go with the world champion does not hack.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, no. Oh, and Beyond getting aggressive on top of that. Trading 1-for-1. SCV's in the mix as well. This is a very, very tight battle here. Off goes the grenade. Beyond just grazed by it. The SCVs are now battling the supplies depot. And fighting from the low ground. They're not jumping into the base yet. Production for Beyond continues. Getting a Reaper, adding a Marine into the mix. And 2 SCVs taken out. This is not working.
No, not yet. I mean,
no.
Beyond, man.
Can it?
How did he know?
I have no idea, but I'm going to assume that this is something Kelazur has pulled before, either on him or one of his Terran friends. You know, someone goes on Korean Ladder, pulls some nonsense like that, that's going to get around quickly. It's like, oh, this guy is a cheeky son.
But I mean, in the best of one to make that decision, because like I said, in-base double barracks Reaper is quite bad. If he's facing any of the other cookie-cutter TVT openings, he's just behind for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. And nice moves by Kelazur right there, doing good damage with the Reapers and then getting out. So not licked yet. Bear in mind, of course, that Beyond has had to pull a lot of SCVs off that mineral line to help defend. So you might be thinking, well, Kelazur's behind. Well, no, he's not. No, he really isn't, even though he's got a couple less SCVs. These SCVs have not been mining, and these grenades, super effective, and suddenly Kelazur jumps on top of it. Oh my god, what a massive hit. Kelazur suddenly finding some homing grenades or something, because incredible damage done there.
Pretty damn good damage. He was definitely behind, like you said, but he's just been able to kind of fight good his way back in here, angle-wise.
Yep.
But Beyond not done yet either.
No.
Doing a pretty good job deflecting this for now.
Big detonation doesn't quite pick it off, but now these SCVs are starting to go down. That's a problem. Nice shot with the Hellion. Gets another shot on the way out. Picks off another one. Kelazur overcommitting. Beyond taking advantage of that. Medevac now being added in for Beyond, that will seal the deal. Like, I don't think that these Reapers can continue in that situation, but Kellezer is putting a Banshee into the mix.
Banshee, an expansion, even Cloak, all of that trades fairly well with what we're seeing coming out from our Korean Terran Beyond. He could, I mean, the scariest thing he could do right now is load up like 8 Marines and then walk the rest over there. So there's a Hellion, there's a couple of Hellions, excuse me, a Cyclone coming out. But even then, the Banshee, and especially a Cloak Banshee against a primarily one-base Terran, is in a pretty good spot to deflect this very hard, I think.
Yeah. Beyond has lost a lot more units, certainly, than Kellezer, but this is unfortunate. This is going to be a nice shot. A lovely use of the grenade to knock the Cyclone back to allow his Reapers to get out of there. He does lose one on the way out, though. Precision shot there by Beyond. That gets spotted on the way by the Banshee. Beyond now knows there is a Banshee and is working on a Raven. And Cyclone immediately intercepting.
Nice job. He is going to take some losses. An SCV or 2 will die, but for the most part, he's able to show up and check this out.
Yep.
And now,
pulling
I don't know about the
SCVs.
SCV pull. Oh my god.
Oh, no! GG. Why?
I should have rewinded. Oh, I can rewind. So I want to take a look if he was losing at home.
Thankfully, we have an instant rewind the game option now, which I've actually never used, so you're gonna have to forgive me as I figure out exactly how. Where's the scroll bar to show me what just happened? Toggle replay timeline. There it is. Okay. Because I was looking at the Sublime, like, that's not what happened.
No, nothing at home.
Nothing. Yeah, I didn't think so either. I mean, yeah, losing that obviously sucks. There's the cancellation. I mean, he was working on the command center. He saw that
down.
Kellezer was working on
workers and 4 supply in total after losing the meta.
Yeah, that was not disastrous.
No.
Yeah, was that a rage quit from Beyond of all people?
It was certainly on a scale of like someone that never leaves a game to Idra. This is like a 4.5 Idra.
That's a really big surprise, because we look back at that. It sucks that he lost the medevac in the way that he did, but the supply was even. They both were building their command centers. They both taken. Actually, no.
Well, he was definitely behind.
Wait a minute. I was wrong. Actually, Kellezer already had a CC.
Yeah.
Down at the natural.
Yeah. No, he was definitely behind, but
not game-endingly behind.
No. I mean, if something was in his mineral line or something like that, then yeah, I would say he's just infinitely behind. He had his own cloaked Banshee queued up. He was going up against a cloaked Banshee, but he already had a Viking out. Or no, excuse me, the Viking was Kellezer's. I mean, there's no way to mince this otherwise. He was definitely behind.
Yes.
But to instantly leave is an interesting choice for sure. There's going to be someone that's like, I hate it when the commentator says, he was down 3 SCVs, and he knew that more was going to happen. He was definitely dead. It's like, no.
No, not in that situation.
Not really.
You know, you stay in, you know? In a mirror match, it sucks to be behind, but you can come back from that. When you have the skill of Beyond, it's just shocking. I don't think I've ever seen Beyond tap out early from a game like that. Huh. Well, bit disappointing, really, honestly. I was hoping to see a bit more, maybe drawn out, but you gotta give credit to Kellezer. That was a trick that almost didn't work. Like, we were watching it, and like, is this working? And the answer was no, until it did. Until we saw a series of money grenades that did severe damage. Okay. I'm just a bit speechless after that, honestly.
It's disappointing. That's all right. It's not a, like, the first Reaper gets picked off, GGM out 1.5 minutes into it, and we're like, oh, that's really stupid. I could totally see someone leaving in a situation like that, but, you know, like you were saying, with Beyond's skill and just who he is, I'm just kind of shocked.
Mm-hmm. Good credit to Kellezer, though. We did say he's been a TVT monster, and he proved that in beyond shopping. I mean, you look at the bracket for him, and he's like 3-0 Semper, 3-0 Euthermal, just straight up. Loses to Neeb, but winning TVT Series 3-0? That shows a dominance of the matchup that most people don't have. That's a mastery and a grasp of it that they don't have. And he did just beat the world champion. You give him credit for that. He did. Fair and square.
It's not bad. The way the StarCraft community works, though, is like that'll be talked about, and that's a good result.
Yeah.
And that's nice. But unless you're winning tournaments or like really making deep runs, they'll give you a feather in your cap, but they will not. They'll almost hold it against you until you win. I mean, look at the situation with GSL with like Sue. Taking second 6 times is actually insane. Not because of not winning, but being in the finals 6 times. Think about
that level of consistency.
How incredible that is.
Yeah, that almost nobody has ever really done that. You know that?
No, not at all.
No, I don't think anyone has 6 times, especially consecutively. Like
not the GSL.
No,
not something of that level. Like we've had people. I think MC has shown up in a bunch of finals or something like that, but a lot of those were. I mean, not to take anything away from MC, but he would have beaten a few foreigners to get there, and this was definitely in the era of like foreigners being way worse than Koreans. But now, in the GSL, no, you're beating the best of the best, and to be in the finals, that is insane.
You know, I'm thinking there might be something we did miss, because we called that Kelazar was building a Banshee, right?
Yeah.
Did it get finished and did it do something? I'm going back into the replay now to find out. Because I just have this funny feeling that Cloak Banshee might have triggered the GG.
Well,
if
yeah,
it ever
you
got
tell
out
me.
there. Yeah, I'm checking now. Yeah, I mean, he did have the 3rd CC. I mean, we've already accepted, like, yeah, he had the CC. Beyond was behind, we get it. But behind enough to tap out right then and there? Probably not. Like,
that's and just to be clear for everyone, this is just our interest and our curiosity. It's not like we're like, well, let's find out, because if he left too early, I'm gonna contact Beyond's mother.
No, that's entirely up to him. Yeah, Banshee went out, followed up by a Viking. The Cloak never even finished. The Banshee actually was a non-factor by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Banshee was actually turning around. It didn't do anything. Yeah, had nothing to do with it. That's so strange. Cloak didn't even finish.
He was behind, and he just thought he was dead.
Oh well, we won't overanalyze it anymore. It's just so shocking to see from a player like that. Oh well, the tournament must continue, and Kelazar is our reigning king of the hill. And the foreigner able to draw blood, and what blood he did draw. You know, that royal blood spilled on the ground. Can he hold on to it is the question. Because he had a pretty rough time as he faced off against Neeb in the TVP matchup, so it would only be fair to give him a Protoss to fight, right? Oh, yes. This is, what can I say? You know, we have a mean tournament. It's not like his TVP is bad. He actually has great rating in this matchup, but he has to face off against a regular when it comes to online events. He has to have patience.